All right, let's dive right in. If you've ever stared at your financial future and felt totally overwhelmed, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're taking the official NPS pension calculator and using it as your personal financial GPS. Just like your favorite navigation app needs your starting location, your vehicle, and your speed to figure out when you'll arrive, this explainer is going to translate the official user manual's data inputs into a really structured, super easy to follow journey. We're going to help you take total control of your retirement strategy. To keep this explainer super digestible, we're breaking things down into 6 logical stages. We'll cover mapping your retirement journey, defining your subscriber profile, planning your monthly contributions, setting your retirement timelines, designing your pension payout, and finally, calculating your financial future. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Mapping Your Retirement Journey. Moving right along to Section 2, Defining Your Subscriber Profile. Step 1 is figuring out exactly where you're starting from. You need to pick your subscriber sector. The manual gives us 3 main categories based on your employment. You'll go with government if you're a public servant, or non-government if you're in the private sector or self-employed. But there's also this third, really unique option called the NPS Vatsalya scheme. This one is specifically designed for minor Indian citizens and is completely run by a parent or guardian. Now, speaking of minors, there is a hard and fast rule you absolutely need to remember when entering your date of birth. 18 is the magic number here, but it actually works in 2 completely opposite ways. If you're looking at the government or non-government sectors, 18 is your minimum entry age. But if you're setting up that Vatsalya scheme we just talked about, 18 is actually the maximum entry age, since it's strictly for minors. Next up, you choose your scheme available. Think of this like picking the engine for your financial vehicle. The options that pop up here are totally dependent on the sector you picked in the last step. So government employees get options like the central government scheme or 100% GSEC bonds. Meanwhile, non-government folks will see a whole mix of life cycle schemes and corporate options. Let's bust a little bit of jargon right here, because this is where you decide exactly how hands-on you want to be with your money. The manual splits this into active choice and auto choice. With active choice, you are in the driver's seat. You manually specify exactly how much of your cash goes into equity, corporate bonds, or government securities, as long as it adds up to 100%. But hey, if that sounds like way too much work, you just hit auto choice. That lets predetermined portfolios run by professional pension fund managers automatically adjust your investments for you. And if you do go with auto choice, this beautifully illustrates how those life cycle schemes actually play out. Based on the manual's asset allocation rules, let's say you pick Life Cycle 75. You start off with a massive 75% exposure to equity when you're young and can handle the market's ups and downs. But watch what happens over time. It automatically glides all the way down to just 15% by the time you hit 55. The system just inherently gets it. As you get older, your priority naturally shifts from aggressive growth to protecting that retirement corpus in stable corporate and government bonds. Okay, let's roll into Section 3, Planning Your Monthly Contributions. So we have our vehicle, now we need to talk about speed. Literally, how much fuel you're pumping into the tank every month. You're going to start by entering your existing NPS Tier 1 corpus. Now, if you're a brand new subscriber, don't overthink it, this is just 0. But if you've been in the system for a bit, it is absolutely crucial to put your current accumulated total in here. The calculator simply has to know how much gas is already in the tank before it can predict your future mileage. Next, you plug in your planned monthly contribution. This covers everything: your voluntary money, your employee deductions, and your employer's match. But whatever you do, do not skip past the annual percentage increase slider. The manual makes a huge point of this. This slider is exactly how you make sure your savings actually keep pace with your future salary hikes, and more importantly, the ever-rising cost of inflation. And just look at the raw power of that annual increase. Let's say you start putting away 10,000 rupees a month today, and you commit to bumping that up by just 5% every year. Watch how that snowballs. Over 30 years, your monthly contribution steadily climbs to over 41,000 rupees. It's wild, right? It visually proves you really don't need to start with some massive pile of cash. You just need to consistently bump it up a tiny bit year after year. Moving right along to Section 4, Setting Your Retirement Timelines. All right, the fuel is sorted. Now we need to actually program our ultimate destination into the GPS. You'll use the desired retirement age slider to lock in the exact age you plan to stop contributing to your NPS account. Think of this as the finish line for your savings phase. And a quick heads up, if you just leave this blank, the calculator is going to default to 60. Now, we really need to highlight that number, 60. There's a hard boundary set by the PFRDA that dictates 60 years of age is the absolute minimum retirement age you can use for this standard calculation. You can definitely slide the scale all the way up to 75 if you plan on working later in life, but you cannot use this standard path to calculate a retirement age younger than 60. Let's clear up another potentially tricky term from the manual: deferment age. Look, this just means that even if you technically retire at 60, you don't have to start pulling your money out right then and there. You can actually choose to defer or delay your monthly payouts. Just keep in mind, the calculator assumes you won't be making any brand new contributions during that gap between when you retire and when you actually take the money. That brings us to Section 5, designing your pension payout. So we know when we're arriving at retirement, but what does that destination actually look like for your day-to-day life? Well, you'll use this slider to set your annuity ratio. This is a massive concept, guys. The annuity ratio is the exact percentage of your total accumulated corpus that gets permanently converted into a regular monthly pension. Whatever is left over is what you can pull out as a lump sum. And when you're playing with that slider, you absolutely must keep the strict PFRDA guidelines in mind. If you hit 60 years of age or reach superannuation, a minimum of 40% of your corpus has to be used to buy an annuity. No way around it. But if you decide to pull the ripcord and exit the scheme before 60, that requirement violently doubles. You are suddenly forced to lock a massive 80% minimum into the annuity, which obviously drastically slashes the lump sum cash you get to walk away with. Right after that, you'll see a box for your desired monthly pension. Now, don't just throw a random guess in here. This needs to be your realistic target, the actual amount you're going to need to maintain your standard of living after you retire, making sure you factor in inflation and your future lifestyle. In fact, the user manual explicitly prompts you to do a little soul searching before typing that number in. It asks you to genuinely reflect. Are you just trying to fund your basic needs? Essential healthcare, groceries, and keeping discretionary spending super low? Or are you aiming for desired needs, things like international travel, buying the latest tech, and a seriously enhanced quality of life? Let's be real, your answer here radically shifts the target you need to hit. And finally, we hit Section 6, calculating your financial future. We've finally reached the end of the roadmap. This is the moment the calculator takes every single parameter you gave it, your profile, your monthly fuel, your timelines, and your dream lifestyle, and essentially builds a window into your future. You just click the big Calculate button to instantly generate your estimated lump sum withdrawal and your projected monthly pension. Once the math is done, a print button pops up so you can download a full, detailed report of your projections. And hey, if you want to play around and test a different path, like seeing what happens if you bump your contributions by 10% instead of 5%, just hit Reset and run a totally fresh scenario. So we've unpacked the actual nuts and bolts of the NPS calculator, turning what could be a dry technical manual into a crystal clear, step-by-step strategy for your retirement. You now hold the ultimate roadmap to cut through the confusion, tweak these variables, and model out your exact goals. So utilizing this incredibly powerful tool, the only question left to ask yourself is, what does your financial future look like?